So I started voiceover in 2017, and it just started from a place of wanting to do more, right? I was supposed to be studying another course in university, and I got another course instead. I was really great at what I was studying, but I wasn't enjoying it. I just didn't find any fulfillment in it. And I was just looking for something deeper, something more meaningful. And I remember praying so much that time for me to get involved in something that was bigger than myself and something that filled me with a sense of purpose, right? And not too long after then, a friend reached out and was like, oh, there's this radio station just outside of school. They were looking for a voiceover artist. I know you don't do voiceover, but you have such a nice voice and a way with words. So I told them that you can get the job done. And I'm like, what do you mean? And so I went to the studio. That was my first time at a radio station, actually. And it was just so amazing because growing up, I spent so much time listening to the radio, and it just never occurred to me that it took that much effort to hear the things that we hear. So it was also fascinating for me. So I went in, did the voiceover, and they were like, oh my God, you're a natural. Have you been doing this? And then they were like, okay, so yeah, just do this like this, say this like this, and we're good. And I was just so happy to be doing it. And then they gave me like 5K at the end of the voiceover. And I'm like, you're giving me 5K just to talk? Stop. I'll be back again. And I never stopped going there. It was so bad that holiday, my 3-month break, I stayed back in school to intern at the radio station because I felt such a great sense of, fulfillment just doing what I was doing at that time. And you know what they say, the rest of it is history. I've been doing it ever since then. It was such an amazing experience, to be honest. I had such a great team. The casting director, who was also the vocal director for the whole project. Shout out Paula! And, we had great showrunners. And I got to meet a lot of actors, people that I'd grown up watching, like Stella Damascus. And I learned so much from them, just picking up and, just being in the backstage, just seeing them do a couple of things and seeing how how screen acting translates to voice acting. And I could kind of just see, because some of the people on the team were screen actors who were playing voice acting roles. So I kind of picked some things up, and even they themselves, they say, oh yeah, I was able to pick up some things too. So it was just such a beautiful experience to just be in the same, well, not in the same room, in a virtual same room, because we would all be on the call at the same time and record our lines. And so it was such a pleasant experience. There was just so much fun in the learning experience, and yeah, I'm forever grateful for that experience, to be honest. How I prepared for my role on the show. So what I did when I got the email that I'd been cast as Iyanu, after sitting in shock for the first 20 to 30 minutes. I will never forget. It was literally 3 a.m. in the morning. I was recording an audiobook, and I was like, let me take a break. And I have an email addiction. I'm always refreshing my email. So I just refreshed my email, and I see a mail from Paula Gamon Wilson. Oh, you've been cast as Iyanu. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, no, stop. Shut the front door. So after that, I went and read all the comic books, because Iyanu is part of a unique universe, where you have other stories like Malika, the Oloris, Orishas, and Windmaker, EXO. You just have a lot of other, it's like the Marvel, the Nigerian, Marvel, and Roy Okupe is writing such amazing characters. So I went and read everything there was to read about Iyanu to get a better understanding of the character, her motivations, her relationship with all the other characters on the show. And that kind of just really gave me a natural springboard to just kind of play off of. So when I approached the script, I was able to approach it with that knowledge, to embody the character. So yeah, that's how I prepared. And then also with the directors, I kind of went to go study, what the director was like, so that I know what she's looking for in an actor. And then most of all, I just stayed true to, I would always use my audition file as a reference, okay, this is what they liked. I had to constantly remind myself, because imposter syndrome can be crazy. I had to constantly remind myself and just go back. They cast you because they heard this and they loved it, so stay true to it, and yeah, that really helped. So that's how I prepared. So I think one of the biggest challenges was having the cultures marry properly. Now, Iyanu is not only streaming in Nigeria, it's streaming in North America, in Australia. It's streaming everywhere, all around the world, really. So telling an African story authentically while having global relevance and impact, and just finding the middle ground and having them marry, being able to tell it authentically and still remain authentic and still have it maintain global relevance. Yeah, that's really it, because the accents, as much as we want to stay true to the Nigerian accent, we also want to make sure that people in the diaspora and non-Nigerians understand what is being said and they're not just cut off, right? Because we Nigerians have the tendency to do that, because we always believe everybody understands us and how we speak, because we're such vibes, okay? So, but we had to keep that in mind. And I remember during the sessions, Roy really made sure that we stayed true to that, because a lot of times he would go, "Oh, Sarah, please keep your American passport away. I want you to go back and pronounce this word in this particular way. That's how we pronounce it." And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So over time, I just kind of got used to it, and it allowed me to find that balance, So yeah, I think that was the most challenging part. I think a really funny memory, which became even funnier, is when I saw how some of my reacts and efforts were used. So reacts and efforts and wallas are basically some of the things that you do in recording that is matched to, when the animation is done. Like, for example, Iyanu snoring. So I'd literally have to go like... And I had the director tell me, let's make it more hilarious, let's make it even more ridiculous. And I'm like, and then it was so funny because so many people were on the call that day, and I always say this, with voice acting, you have to be completely shameless. And I think that applies to all forms of acting, really, not just voice acting. You've got to learn how to be shameless. And so I did that. And what made it even funnier was seeing how it was used. Go watch Iyanu season 1 to have a better understanding of what I'm talking about. So my approach to this, right, is understanding the character very deeply first. Because understanding the character's motivations, what they're trying to communicate, where they stand, the relationship they have with other people, just understanding that character in general allows you to really express and embody, express their emotions and embody who they are. And I think it's really important to focus on that, and also focus on, in terms of now bringing it to life with my voice. Personally, I always pay attention to first getting the acting right. If you get the acting right first, the voice is going to follow, right? If you have the understanding and you get the acting right, the voice follows. And by voice, I mean in terms of accent, the age range of the voice. Let's say, for example, you're supposed to voice a British kid, you've got to understand their pain, what is going on with that character. Are they happy? Are they excited? And then by the time you're able to express that character, you can now start adding all the icing on the cake, which is their accent, and then their little voice, and then you can just go on, and then you can just talk about whatever may be going on, and then you can now narrow down and try to find out what their age is, and if they're really young, and you can just keep going. So really, that's it. Once you understand the acting, so that you're not just displaying with accents and making impressions instead of acting, get the acting right and then put the icing on the cake. The most rewarding part, I'm not even gonna lie, is the work experience. It's the work experience, to do that much of a layered character that goes through so many different, moments, emotions, different arcs, almost like a rite of passage, because we watch Iyanu grow from, a preteen to a teenager. We watch her meet new friends, make new friends, have fights with these friends, break up with these friends, come back together with these friends, and so many other emotions. So it was so well layered. It was challenging for me as an actor, and who doesn't love a challenge? I would say just find ways to put yourself out there. Don't wait till you're cast in this big project to do stuff, because as at the time they reached out to me, they had seen a bunch of the stuff I'd done, both the ones that were independent projects of mine, where it was just me, flexing and seeing what I could do and what I was capable of doing. Those were just independent projects from me. They had seen those, as well as stuff I'd done for clients, and I'm guessing that's what made them want to give my voice a try, So I think it's definitely important to look for ways to put yourself out there, especially in the world that we're in now. I'm sorry, as much as we all hate it, you've got to put yourself out there, because even personally, I'm not the, hey, look at me kind of person. I prefer to be, in the enclosed space and just walk, and then now come out and show walking. But we're getting to a point in the world where you just got to put yourself out there so that you're top of mind when some certain opportunities arise. So yeah, put yourself out there. There's a popular saying that when someone is doing what they love, they never have to work a day in their lives. I'll not even lie, sometimes it's extremely exhausting, but it's happy type of exhausting. So I'm happy I'm exhausted doing what I love. It's a great feeling. Sometimes it do usually cause financial distress, but they're all parts of a whole. There is no they all inform the same thing, right? I mean, I work as a consultant, a creative consultant. I'm a voice actor, I'm a sound engineer, and I write some original pieces too, which I get to have, people voice. I'm also a vocal director now. I've been exploring that part of the arts. It's something I really enjoy doing right now. So I mean, for me, all these things are just part of a whole. There's no separating them. I mean, it's just to continue creating, doing a lot more of my independent work. And I have a sanctuary for storytellers here, Talk Studios, where, voiceover artists get to come in and we get to work on original projects. And it's just sound artistry, really. So I'm just doing that, I'm just enjoying myself, enjoying the process of creation. And hey, you never know. Watch this space. So I currently have quite a number of projects in the pipeline, but I would just say keep watching out for, Sarah Johnson and for Talk Studios. We're doing some really amazing stuff here. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the work we do, I can't talk about a lot of them right now, but we're into really amazing stuff. So yeah, keep it locked in. All right, so my social media handles on Instagram, I go by underscore Sarah Johnson, as in SERAH Johnson. And on LinkedIn, I'm Sarah Johnson, same spelling. And on TikTok, I'm Sarah the Voice, SERAH the Voice. You can also follow my business page at talk_studios, where we create immersive audio stories. Trust me, we're creating some amazing stuff you don't want to miss. So check us out. Yeah, that's it. It's been so much fun hanging out with you today, and I hope you enjoy and have enjoyed my 11 questions with Mario. Bye for now.